further ado, take the floor.
Hi everyone, I'm Fatima, and today I'm just going to be talking a little bit about, I guess, me as a student. I do have slides prepared, so I'm going to pull that up. Okay, so, all right. Hi, so I am a student at the Sophie Davis CUNY School of Medicine. It is a 7-year accelerated BSMD track. So after the first 3 years, you get your bachelor's in biomedical science or biomedicine. And then in the second year, and then in the last 4 years, so that's the first 3 years, the last 4 years is the medical school portion. You are immediately matriculated into the medical school, so you don't apply, you don't take the MCAT, you just get matriculated in with your white coat ceremony. I'm currently a rising U3, so I am going into my 3rd year, and I will be graduating with my bachelor's next year. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Queens, New York. I am half Black and half Filipino and Muslim, and I'm very proud about that. I currently work at the Feinstein Institutes for medical research. I'm literally at work right now, like you can kind of see my sweater. And yeah, so I enjoy research, as you can see. I also am a Division III athlete at my school. My school is connected to the City College campus, so I play for them. And I also run Study Chai. I've worked with a couple of companies like Quizlet, HP, Muji, and I have also collaborated with CUNY to create an advertisement in order to increase applicants to the school. And I have also published a journal article with Zebra Pen. So I have a lot of different hobbies and interests, but overall I love science, and I'm very excited for what's ahead in the, I guess, in my journey through medicine. And yeah, and also I'm an ENFJ. I'm really into Myers-Briggs. It's super accurate. So yeah. So I'm going to be starting off as to why I chose the 7-year accelerated BSMD track. And this is my point of view as a first-gen and low-income medical student of color. So first off, let's start with the pros. It's very, very affordable. Typically, when you do the traditional track, it does take a lot of money to have to apply to different schools, and the tuition is also a full 4 years and then an additional 4 years of medical school. So it's a little bit longer, which means you do spend a little bit more money. And as someone who's low income, I knew that it was just something that it was just a barrier that I knew I had to get through. So this accelerated track really helped with that. Another pro is that there's no MCAT. Sophie Davis is very unique in that it aims to provide students of color with opportunities. So the MCAT is kind of like a barrier that students of color have to face, because students of color have to face due to having to pay for like prep, and then you have to also pay for taking it, I believe. And so this is just a barrier that Sophie Davis eliminates. And also opportunity. Because I'm in a 7-year accelerated BSMD, I can spend more time in research and dedicate my summers to working in, I guess, places that I want to, rather than having to strictly confine myself to clinical all the time. Because also as a future medical student, it's really important to be able to have a lot of different hobbies and interests. But there are a lot of cons. The first part is that it's super rigorous. I am currently a rising undergrad in my 3rd year. However, I am taking the NBME this year. I've taken a couple of medical school classes. So my program is more of like a 2+5, where we finish all the prerequisites in the first 2 years. And then for the last year in my undergrad, we spend a lot of time literally just taking pure medical school courses. So it's super rigorous, and the attrition rate is very, very high. A lot of students don't make it, or they get left back, and it's just it's a lot of pressure, it's a lot of stress, and you really have to want it to, I guess, to make it through. The second is small class size. My school is not the only dual degree program out there. However, most dual degree programs do have a small class size. So it's something to think about if you like exploring and going out and socializing. In my case, I have to make a real effort to socialize and make friends outside of my school because there are only very few people in my class. And you kind of want to spread your wings a little. The last part is that it's rigid. So I know that there are a lot of universities with open curriculums. You can choose whatever classes you want to take. And in my case, you could choose electives and other classes. However, because the current classes are so rigorous, it's not really advised. And you're also on a strict schedule. So the first 2 years, you got to finish all the prereqs, and then you got to take the medical school courses even as an undergrad, and then you got to take the NBME, which is the board exam for medical school. And it's just, you're on a strict schedule, and you could take a gap year, but it's not really recommended. But yeah. So moving on, I do want to talk a little bit about high school. I know that for me, it seems like a long time ago, but I just wanted to kind of show you guys how I really got involved into medicine and how I got interested into science, and really also just provide a wider and I guess a more open point of view, because I know that some people may think everything is about science or to be in science, but that is definitely not true. So I am in love with research. I love research. And so I got into it in high school when I had the opportunity to work with C. elegans. And so I just did a small project where we did like silencing genome research. I learned how to do I just learned how to work with worms and also do biostatistic analysis and everything. I also did a competition called M.D.s, Muslim Interscholastic Tournament. It was a part of one of my clubs, so I was super, super into my MSA club, very dedicated. And I also took on a job at the Museum of Jewish Heritage. It's super like unrelated to science, but I really wanted to get out there and get experience in the work field and just meet different people, which is very, very important to kind of have a diverse set of experiences other than just in science. I also did Perry Initiative. It's a program that is for high school students, and they also have a program for medical school students. Unfortunately, not the college undergrad portion, but they do have a virtual program that you guys can attend if you are a college undergrad student. I also did like a STEP program, which is, I guess, it's kind of like the rite of passage for all like students interested in medicine in high school. And I did a Girls Who Code program, which honestly I did not enjoy, I honestly did not enjoy it. I found out that I did not like coding at the time, but it's kind of crazy because I work in a lab that mostly does coding. So it's a whole leap, but you kind of change interests and directions as time goes on. So that was me in high school. I was doing a lot of things. I was jumping from one thing to another thing, and it was a wild time, but it was fun. So I do want to talk about the application process, which is, I guess, it differs depending on what school you go to and what dual degree program you go to. For Sophie Davis in particular, you do need to do 3 essays and 3 interviews. So the 3 essays, the first one was to expand on an extracurricular. The second one asked why medicine, and the third one asked you to recall being an agent of social change. And for the interviews, I had to interview with 1 student and 2 faculty members. And so overall, I am honestly not sure how close this is to medical school applications. However, I think in every single application process, it is important to have a certain theme. And so the theme of my application was representation. I am very committed to kind of to like diversifying fields that are essentially not diverse, right? So medicine, diversifying the field of medicine. And I feel like as a person of color, it's really important to have that representation and to have someone who looks like you in the field in order to advocate for you, or to just have someone that you can trust, right? And so for my essays, the first one, the extracurricular that I expanded on was volleyball. So I play volleyball. So sports is honestly a really important part of my life. And so I wrote about volleyball and being the only hijabi Muslim player on my varsity volleyball team in high school. And obviously the lessons that I learned carried with me because I currently play as a D3 athlete in my current school. So continuity is also very important. It's good to stick with one thing and to keep doing it. It shows dedication and it shows commitment. The second thing that I had read about was why medicine. And my why medicine topic was about serving the underserved. And so advocating for patients, providing that empathetic care that I feel like is being lost, especially in the American and United States healthcare system. There are a lot of faults in the system, and I know it's a little bit of a risky topic to talk about, but if you do have a personal experience that you have to share about how the system failed you or a loved one, that's exactly what I did. And I just talked about how it sparked my passion for medicine and how I wanted to be a clinician and provide the care that someone could not provide for a loved one. And so I talked about being like how, and honestly, medicine is different for everyone, right? To others, it's a calling. To other people, it's something that their father did, their mother did, their family did, and it feels right that they do it. And maybe to other people, they just want, I guess, prestige, or there's so many motivations within medicine, within the applicants. And so the motivation that I feel will get you far is wanting it enough that you would be able to go through anything to get it. Because in a BSMD, it's rough, it's tough, it's rigorous. We start off with in my program, we start off with about like 100 students, and then the final class is about 50 or 40 students. And so it's very tough, but having that motivation and being able to rekindle it, not because you want prestige or money, but because you love doing it is very important. And so to me, medicine didn't really feel like a calling per se, but it felt like a duty, right? As someone who's Filipino and Black and Muslim and a woman, it's important that patients see themselves in you. It's important that patients can tell you information and trust you with information and confide in you and be able, and it's important that they share this connection with you. And I feel like as someone with, and I am a people person. I love talking to people. I love conversing with them. I love talking in general. And so it just felt like with my characteristics and with my identity, it's important for me to be out there. And it's important for me to care for patients. And I felt like I could make change, right? And that's what I wrote about. And I guess that answered the last essay topic, social change. I talked about my experience working at the museum. I talked about I met a little girl, and I don't know, she told me something. It really changed my perception of myself. And yeah, it was a very personal story. It was not related to medicine, but it just felt like something I had to share that showed a lot about my personality, right? Because again, not everything is science. But yeah, so moving on, that was my application process. Oh, hold on, let me charge my laptop. Okay, sorry about that. So that was my application process. And so my next slide is basically generic advice to access opportunity. I feel like you probably heard this over and over and over again. So I do have more advice, but this is generic in case you haven't heard it. Obviously, consistently cold emailing researchers and doctors. Do not be afraid of rejection. This summer, I was rejected from quite a lot of summer internships. And it happens. And it's just something that you have to experience that will push you farther. And if you are cold emailing, just consistently cold email multiple different people. Most of them probably will not answer, but it does help to just keep emailing, because you will find that one mentor who really wants students and who will accept you and who would want you to come back and who would want to mentor you. There is a mentor out there like that. You just have to keep searching. Second is to find a mentor, just like I said, that truly wants the best for you. So when you do find a mentor, it's really important that they understand who you are. They understand your identity. They can empathize with you. They understand maybe obstacles you faced. They understand where you are in life. They understand what you want to achieve. They know you as a person. And so obviously that can only be achieved by constantly conversing and talking, communicating with them, right? But if you find a mentor who you feel like doesn't match with you, it's okay to kind of distance yourself, because especially at this age, and especially in, I guess, this age of like academia, your mental health is also very important. And if you have a mentor that you feel like makes you feel bad every time you talk to them or see them, then it's important to let them go and to find one that actually cares for you, no matter how long it takes. I feel like this isn't really talked about. A lot of people say find a mentor who's a doctor and you're good, but it's really important to find a mentor who actually wants you to learn. Next is to talk to upperclassmen. Obviously, they literally know so much and you will not know unless you ask them. Next is to involve yourself in your desired field. Again, I did repeat myself when I said not everything is about science, but I do want you to understand that you have to know more about what you're going into, right? If you want to be a doctor, you have to understand the healthcare system. You have to understand the setbacks, the pros, the cons. You have to be aware that, in America, if you have insurance, and I just learned this, insurance companies, they can take healthcare, or like they can take like therapy sessions, or like occupational therapy or physical therapy sessions, or like medicine away from you if they think you don't need it, right? They have total control over, I guess, your healthcare, right? For instance, if you broke an arm, right, and you're getting physical therapy, and the insurance sees your progress and thinks, okay, like you're fine, like I'm not gonna pay for your therapy anymore, even though doctors like, no, like they need more physical therapy. The insurance company can't do that, and that is not okay. It's a setback. It's a product of, I guess, a semi-broken system, and you have to learn those setbacks. You have to understand them. You have to understand you have to understand the bias of medicine, the racial bias in medicine. You have to understand how patients are treated. You have to understand that racial bias exists in medicine to begin with. You have to be fully aware of the field you're going into, right? Especially if you're a woman, you have to be aware that you maybe have to fight a little harder when you're in the field. And so it's really important to understand these cons, because they will hit you in the face when you least expect it. But if you understand them, then when it'll come to you, you'll be like, okay, I know how to handle this, right? I know how to work my way through. The last one is to branch out beyond medicine. So know about medicine, but also involve yourself in other things, like don't make it your entire, I guess, personality and thought process. Because it is very, your mental health is very important. It's also very important to have a holistic view of the world, right? If you understand creative processing, you can have like a side interest in like business or like political science or the arts. Personally, for me, it's the arts, right? I grew up in a very artistic family. I'm a first gen medical student along with my sister. We're the first in our family to go into medicine. We have a history of just like art students, artists and architectures and architects. And so it's very important to be able to have something that you like outside of medicine. It grounds you. Okay, so for the real advice, balance and time management, the importance of discipline. So as a student, it's very important to balance your time. And so do not stay at home and study all the time. Obviously, you have to have some sort of hobby outside of school. And when I was completing my prerequisites as a first and second year, I took I took an organic chemistry class that's usually 2 semesters in 1 semester. And I did my first season of college volleyball, which involved a lot of traveling. And so that experience alone taught me the importance of balancing your time and like just managing it correctly. One piece of advice I will say is that discipline is very important, and that when you're purely just studying, yes, maybe you'll get like A pluses and hundreds, 99s, but if you're doing something on the side and you're studying, that is, I think, more beneficial. Maybe you'll get 98s or 97s or A's instead of the A plus that you wanted, or A minuses, but you learn the value of balancing your time and managing your time and just being able to do something else while like multitasking, you know? The next advice is to explore more interests and skills. Again, like I love photography and like editing, and I'm working in a neuroscience lab right now. So I'm also trying to teach myself MATLAB, and like also I'm trying to get into like reading like research articles. So definitely try to spend time doing other hobbies and specializing in that, right? Perfecting the skill, learning another skill, learning multiple skills will teach you how to learn skills in academics faster, right? And because I taught myself, for instance, this is an example, is like I taught myself how to use Photoshop, and I taught myself how to do photography and color grade and edit. And so that really helped in creating and being able to create my research posters on my own, really aesthetic and nice ones. And although it's a small thing, it's some people take years to learn how to make a poster. And if you involve yourself in a side hobby, it will benefit you in academics, trust me. It's a whole package. My next advice is to become more involved in communicative and like communicative. And so this is one of those examples where you're taking initiative to become more involved, like all 193 of you guys just being in this session and going to these programs is literally becoming more involved. You get to meet so many like doctors and students and learn about experiences and learn different lessons and apply them to your life. And by networking and maybe emailing those professionals, then you could get opportunities. That's exactly how I was able to work with CUNY and be able to direct and produce and help them create this advertisement. It was literally through communicating with a student in the Philippines American organization. That's where I was a that's where I worked as a board member for them one semester, and I talked with this I talked with one of the old board members, and she was like, oh my God, like I work at CUNY, like I really want to do something with you, and we were able to collaborate, and it was really cool. And so definitely try talking to people within medicine, but also outside of medicine, because that will open a lot of doors. Literally talk your ear off, like network, shoot your shot. Like the worst they can do is be like, no, you know, like, or you can get like a crazy opportunity. So yeah, just talk a lot, try to be more involved. And my last advice is charisma. So obviously this is a little bit, I started this because it's not really something that you can directly apply, but it's something that takes a couple of years or months to learn how to do. But it's very important as a person, especially if you want to go into medicine, to be not only authentic and truthful, but also to be a people person, because medicine is about conversing with people, right? Empathy, understanding the patient, being able to talk with them. And so if you don't have that ability, it's important to be able to, if you don't have that ability, it's okay, because you learn that through experience, right? But it's your job to go out and get that experience by talking with people and going into clubs and socializing and just involving yourself in other things and talking with upperclassmen and being able to understand how to converse with authority, right? And so charisma and being a people person and radiating this aura of like being trustworthy and like just having this positive mindset, right, is very, very important. It's very, very important, and people can see that right off of you, right? And so especially in medicine, where a lot of things, I'm not gonna lie, rely on likability and charisma and being a people person. For interviews, I know that they do interviews for med school admissions. They did it for mine, and they had 3 people interview me, and they analyze your body language, what you say, how you say it, right? It's very important to be a people person. I feel like this is not really talked about a lot because, in my opinion, I think it might be a little bit of a controversial topic because you cannot change personality, but I think charisma is something that you can gain through experience. And it's very important. It's very important. Try to talk to strangers, or just try to converse with people, be more social, be more outgoing, right? Don't be in a little bubble. Just try to go out there, because they'll make you a better doctor, right? Because there are doctors who can succeed without being a people person, but it's, as a doctor, it's your responsibility to be the best version of yourself. And if you're not a people person, try to start talking to a lot of people, because it will help you become a better healthcare provider, and you will save so many more lives. But yeah, I guess that's all. That's my contact if you have any questions, or if you want to connect with me, or if you would like to hear more about opportunities at I guess maybe I have to offer. I'm New York City based. I live in New York City. I work here, and I plan on staying here for a while. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatima. It was such an honor to have you here. I feel like we learned so much, and thank you again. Usually, what we do for our amazing guest speakers is we do a Zoom round of applause before we enter into a Q&A section where people can ask you some questions. So everyone, feel free to go to the reaction section and give the amazing Fatima a round of applause. We're really thankful for you. Taught us so much, and it was a really inspirational talk.
Thank you. Thank
yeah.
you.
If anyone has a question, feel free to either raise your hand or type them in the chat. We want to respect your time, Fatima, so let us know whenever, if you have a couple of minutes to answer questions. If not, we understand. So just let us know whatever works for you. If you want a couple questions, whatever is within your time right now.
Yeah, I can definitely answer any and all questions that are asked to me.
A couple people have their hand raised. We'll start with that, and then I'll let you know whoever's typing in the chat, so you can coordinate that. Kaylin.
Hi, Fatima. My name is Kaylin. I'm also a woman. I'm interested in the field of medicine, more specifically psychiatry. I'm in New Jersey, so just seeing someone so similar to me who's also so close by, really just crazy experience. I have a few questions for you. First of all, I believe you're the first Black speaker that we've had in this program, so I would just like to know how you're that makes it sound weird, but I would just like to know your experiences with adversity and just being Black in the field of medicine. That's been a major concern for me, that there might not be a lot of people like me in that field, more specifically psychiatry. So I just wanted to know what your experience with that is like.
Yeah, thank you for that question. It did not sound good at all, right? But yes, so being, there's a lot of things that go into that. I can begin from high school. I have faced a lot of adversity, and especially being also one of 4 Black people in my biomedical program in high school. I was one of 2 Black people on my volleyball team. And it's just, it's a lot. You have to jump over a lot of obstacles. Honestly, it's a very general statement, but it's true, right? Because, and I feel like a lot of people, I guess it's more, in my experience, it's more of a mental game, right? Because you could face outright like racism, like, oh my God, like, like Black lives don't matter, whatever. Like maybe they'll target you like right there and then. But I think the worst part of having to navigate as a Black student, a pre-med student, is definitely the mindset, because you grow up with people telling you that you can't do it, or that you're not good enough, or they have high expectations for you, in contrast to the low expectations they have with non-Black students, right? And so I've had to kind of reconstruct my mindset and tell myself, like, everything that you've achieved is because of you, right? It's not because you're lucky or because you're Black, or, affirmative action, which I can go into a whole other thing about. But being Black and being in pre-med and being so involved in academia, it takes a lot of mental strength, right? And it takes time to know, and it takes representation. You have to, I had I think what really set the standard for me in terms of achieving a lot more than, in terms of like achieving more, was when I worked at the museum and I met a girl, a student, and she was a senior in high school. She was going to Vanderbilt, right? She was Black, and she's from the Bronx. And I remember she was talking to me and she said, you can do so much more. Like, I'm going to give you all these programs that you have to apply for. You can do so much more. She said that she is going to Vanderbilt. She's going to do like bioengineering, and like, she just seeing that, like, seeing her accomplished, it inspired me. And so it's important to have representation, but there are going to be times when people are going to say comments to you, are going to judge you, or are going to subliminally say you don't belong here. And so it's a mental game, right? It's a mental game. It takes time, and it takes it also, you have to surround yourself with people who want to push you, because I have a sister and she pushed me a lot. My sister pushed me a lot. She actually goes to Sophie too. She's a medical student in her second year. So if you have questions, I can also like direct you to her. She loves mentoring students, but she pushed me a lot. And so it's important to have support systems and not let those people dictate your path. And so thank you for that question. And I'm honestly really honored to be the Black representation that some of you may have needed. Thank you.
Just a smaller question aside, as heavy as that other one. As someone who's interested in starting my own social media project, I know you work on Study Chai and started that from the ground up. How did you start, and like what advice would you have for someone who's interested in doing that?
Yeah. So I started because everyone else was doing it in middle school. I'm not gonna lie, it was not, there's nothing really deep, but then I kind of grew to like it. And I think the most important part is consistency, right? Consistency and growing, okay? Because when you start, things may be a little rocky and you're like, I don't know, but like you have to learn from others. Like you got to humble yourself and understand that there are people out there who have more wisdom and more knowledge that they can offer. And so go out and learn from them. Look at what they post, look at how they operate, look at maybe they do look at how many times they post, and take that and use that as a foundation. So for me, it was being inspired from bigger accounts and accounts that had more of an audience, and telling myself, okay, look, like you're not all that, like you can learn so much more from other people. And that's what I did. And also staying consistent with it. Definitely staying consistent. It's all about consistency and growth.
Thanks so
Yeah,
much.
no problem. You can email me and we can talk more about it. Zainab?
Hi, Fatima. My name is Zainab. So first of all, thank you so much for being so real with us throughout this entire meeting about what it's like experiencing diversity and being a woman in pre-med. So my question for you is, do you have any tips or techniques that you could provide to other students on how you balance and manage your time being a pre-med student, as well as also basically being committed to a travel sport? So this is just a question for any other student who is pursuing a sport as well as their studies.
Yeah. So the first advice is to go for it. Do not be afraid of, oh my God, like I have no time. Literally do it. Unless you're like balancing 5 other things, like know your limits for sure. But if you're just studying, if you're just doing school and you want to do a sport, just do it, right? And so when you do it and when you're getting involved in that, it's very tough. It is. And my biggest advice to you is to definitely try to be disciplined and set a schedule, right? Go to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time as every single day of the week, study at the same time. And if you can't, that's okay, but prioritize sleep, right? Get in your full 8 hours of sleep. Honestly, I don't get my full hours of sleep, but when I did do my season and when I took Orgo that semester, I got a pretty good amount of sleep because I would wake up super, super early. I would study, and also not psyching yourself out and knowing when to ask for help, right? Because in my program, it's such a rigorous program. And most of the people who do not make it are the ones who are suffering in silence. You have to ask for help. Trust me. If you feel like you're on the brink of failing a class or something, you have to ask for help, whether it's from your parents or from a friend or from the professor. Like, you're not alone in this, right? There are so many other people. And that's what I learned. I learned that talking with my classmates, making sure I know what's going on, talking with my professors, talking with my parents, they can give you so much good advice they gave me so much good advice that I didn't even know they had. Like you're definitely your parents, and like just making sure that you seek out help. It's not just a one person thing, right? You have to have your support system, and you have to ask for help, and keep being consistent in your schedule.
Thank you so much.
Of course. I will, there are a lot of stuff going on in the comment section, but I will get to that. Melinda?
Hi, Fatima. My name is Melinda. I'm also from the East Coast. So it was exciting to see another Black girl from near the area I'm from to be doing pre-med. And I have two questions. My first question is like how to be a more outgoing person, because I feel like I'm kind of like more introverted. I want to like try and break that like boundary within myself.
Yeah. So first, I do want to say that there's nothing wrong with being introverted. My sister, she is a second year medical student. She's an introvert, and she is like a great student, right? She's an introvert, but she's a great student. But also, I think I think what is important to understand is that she is introverted, but she knows how to converse with people, right? She knows how to read people. She knows how to read body language and how to empathize with people, right? And so in order to learn how to do that, I will say like you should try to talk to more people, right? Within your school or within your friendships, right? Try to go out of your comfort zone, right? And that can be literally something like doing something you've never done before, and maybe that will like make you more confident, right? But sometimes it just takes one moment or one conversation to really open your eyes. But if you're introverted, it's okay to be introverted. You do not have to be like, oh my God, like I'm talking to every single person in the room, but definitely try to involve yourself in like networking spaces, right? Like, for instance, literally like asking a question to me is like one of those things, you know, like it's the small things that count. And definitely like, I know it's a thing where people like maybe they don't want to order at like the cash register to make their friend buy their food for them. It's super small things, and I know like I know about those social scenarios, and it's really important to maybe be like, you know what, I'm gonna order the food for myself, you know, like it's literally the smallest things. Or like talking to professors. Oh my God, talking to figures of authority is so important, because when you start going into the professional thing, like when I started working in the lab, like it was a skill that like you definitely should have, like going to office hours. Oh my God, talking to professors, going to office hours, talking to the dean, like saying, hi, my name is Fatima. You shake their hand, squeeze it tightly, look them in the eye contact, be confident, right? Professionalism and communication, and like just, you know, it's the small things. It's the small things, but keep that in mind, right? And I'm glad you're thinking about that. But yeah, and especially being Black, you got to be assertive. You got to let them know that you are not here to play, because they will, you know, it's tough out here.
Okay, and then also my other question was that I was wondering, because I've heard Black girls have other stories about how like they go to a class, they're ignored, or like people don't want to work with them. I was wondering, has that ever happened to you, and how do you navigate that?
So luckily I go to a school that dominates the people of color. I purposely chose Sophie Davis also because it's very diverse. I did not want to go to a PWI, right? My dream school was Barnard, and I was also admitted into another Ivy League, but the fact that it was a PWI, oh my God, I didn't really want to. I mean, other people, I mean, it's not bad to want to go into a school like that, but it's personal preference. And I prefer to be more with like people of color and in a diverse school. But even when I'm in a diverse school, you will face those people. Those people do like, they're everywhere, right? And so with that, you just have to ignore them and use that as motivation, right? Because they probably think you can't do something, but using that as motivation to prove that you can and more is really important. And also just ignoring those people and minding your business, because it's important for you to, like, I guess, know yourself and be confident in yourself, and don't let that bring you down. It took me like 4 years to learn, but I learned it, and I'm okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, of course, you can email me if you have more questions.
Okay, thank you.
Because I'm also, guys, I'm looking to take on more mentees. I want to be a mentor figure, so please feel free to email me. Hour? Is that how you pronounce your name? Hour Ahmed?
My name is
Hi.
Hor. Hi.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Hor?
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, wait, what does it mean? Does that have like
It's
a meaning? Oh, I can't hear.
my name is in Quran.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's no, it's I've actually never, you have a really nice name.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
My question, I want to know your experience with hijab.
Oh yeah, that is a very good question. So when you wear hijab, especially in professional environments, people will assume that you're shy. They'll assume that you're quiet, you're shy, you're not extroverted, you're so innocent and like you don't know much, and you're sheltered, right? So it's important that you be assertive. And so in my experience, the hijab has definitely, like, people have looked at me and thought I was shy or that I was not as athletic as I actually was. They would look at the hijab first before they saw before they could kind of read my personality. It's definitely something that it's a struggle to overcome, but it taught me to be more assertive, right? So before you enter those spaces, I would advise you to be more assertive, because I wasn't, because I did not know people viewed hijabis as shy people. So to overcome that and try to avoid that, become more assertive, be more assertive when you enter into a space. If you've never entered there before, right? If you're in a new school, be assertive. If you're entering into a new like club team or sports team, be assertive, because people will have predetermined notions about who you are, and it will cause a lot of setbacks for you. So yeah.
Can you expand on that for a quick second? How would you be assertive in a space like this?
Yeah. So being assertive comes with practice, right? But when you're assertive, it's first thing I want to cover is body language, right? Eye contact, when you shake the person's hand, squeeze it a little tighter, right? Introduce yourself with confidence. Also, like, being able to, like, talking, like, being more outspoken, right? Asking questions, right? Nodding, eye contact, and also like emailing, like making it a point to communicate with them, like just being like, it's all about the body language and also like the way you present yourself, right? You don't want to like look away and like whatever, like, or if you're working in like a lab, be like, hey, like, do you have anything you want me to do? Like, or just letting them know like I'm here to work, or I'm I'm not playing around, and like I'm really dedicated, like. And also but yeah, it takes practice, but those are some assertive pointers I have. I personally have to work on being a little bit more assertive, so it's a learning process.
Thank you.
Ava.
Hi, Fatma. So, first of all, I wanted to say that the idea that you're supposed to squeeze someone's hand tighter than like conventionally, I think that is such a good idea, just to like make you stand out. But like my question was, you mentioned taking a gap year between like the 2+5, between like the time you take your prereqs and the time you go sort of into medical school. And I've actually never heard about those before. Like I've learned so much about BSMD programs in the past like few months, and I've never heard of the gap year part. So I just want to like learn a little bit more about that.
Okay. So the gap year, you can take a gap year anywhere, right? And also my program is a 3+4. I say it's 2+5 because we start medical classes, medical school classes in my third year. But yeah, so the 3+4 or 2+5, I'm gonna say 3+4 because I guess that's what they like say it is, but 3+4. Usually the gap year is optional, right? You have the option of taking a gap year. Some people do take it, some people don't. Most people take it to work and to try to earn money, or to work in a lab full time and try to get pubs and better their CV. And I did say it wasn't ideal, but again, that was in terms of like me, because I do want to be able to get my MD faster. But I'm actually right now, I'm thinking about taking a gap year for research because I really like it. But yeah, the gap year is 100% optional. It's up to you. But yeah, I don't know much about that because I have not taken a gap year, but it is an option, and it's very ideal in my program to take it between year 3 and year 4, because technically undergrad is 4 years and you just graduated in 3 years. So no one will really question that gap because it's kind of like a loophole, right? But yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear like a little bit more about it. But yeah, you did a good job of answering that.
Okay, thank you. Sophia?
Yes, hi Fatima. So I just wanted to ask, what keeps you like motivated to continue your research and being a pre-med? Because I know how much stress does come with it, and that over time it does become a little repetitive. And is there something in the future you like to achieve, like with this research as well?
Yeah. So research is very competitive, and once I feel like it's very competitive in and of itself, but once you get an opportunity, it's uphill from there, depending on how much you want it, right? Because if you really want it, right, you have the connections already from starting out the first year. You just have to foster those connections, talk with your PI or your mentor and be like, hey, I love research and I'm trying to get into more research. That's what I did in high school. I talked to my mentor and I was like, hey, like I really want to do research in college. And she wrote my recommendation for my application to the lab I work in right now. And so it's like a domino effect, right? You got to want it enough to keep on doing it. And so in terms of research, I really want to do translational research because again, I'm a people person and I want to do research that actually makes an impact and impacts human beings and things that I can bring from the lab, from the bench to the bedside, literally. And so I'm very interested in right now I work in a lab that deals with the immune system and the brain. And so we study diseases and we study diseases through mouse models. So we experiment on mice. And then our next step hopefully is to apply that to humans and to patients through clinical trials, right? And so that's exactly what I'm interested in. I did try to do the whole I did spend quite a bit of time in molecular biology research with like pipetting and like wet lab work. And it wasn't really something that I was interested in because again, I'm a people person. I really want to work with people in conjunction to research. And I think that is the most effective research in my opinion. I think it makes most use of money, most use of your time. And if you do want to go into research, definitely please look into translational research, please, because it's great, right? And it directly applies to being a doctor. But yeah, that's what I'm interested in. And I'm hoping to be a physician scientist in the future. I think I want to go for my PhD after my MD. There is a 3-year accelerated program in the facility that I work in right now. So I may just apply to that after my MD, but who knows? But I do want to do research. I want to continue doing research. So if you also like research, please email me. Alexis?
Hi, Fatima. I just wanted to know, when it comes to, I know you go to a university that is not a PWI, but when it comes to, I know being Black, and I'm not Muslim, but I have friends that are, and I wanted to know, when it comes to working with patients, have you ever been rejected because of being Black or because of being Muslim? And if you have, how do you deal with it? Because I feel like that is my biggest thing holding me back, is how to professionally deal with someone not wanting you to take care of them simply because of your religion or your ethnicity or race.
Yes. Okay. So I have not had enough. I've had patient interactions. However, I do not think I have enough to answer your question because I haven't really like gone through that, right? But I have heard stories and I know it does happen with a lot of doctors. And one thing that I can say based on my current experience is to literally like do not let that hold you back, right? Because while there are ignorant people out there, there are Muslims and Black people and people of color and women who need people like you to take care of them, right? You have the bad batch, but you have the good batch, right? There are patients that need you to take care of them, right? And also as a doctor, you take an oath, right? It's important to treat everyone. You may not want to treat someone that you have to treat, but you have to do it, right? So it comes with a sense of maturity that you will soon be able to learn through experiences, right? So do not let that set you back. That should not be an obstacle, right? Do not let those people set you back, because those are the same people who those are the same, like, you don't want those people to hold you back, because there are other people out there who need you, right? And so for me, my motivation is those people, right? I want to be their representation. I want them to confide in me because I look like them, because we both wear hijab, or because we're both Black, or because we're both women, right? I want them to know that I'm here for them. And so it's important that you only pay attention to those people, right? Do not let the other people cloud you and your decisions, right? Because there are people out there who are victims of racial bias in medicine, who need people like you with open minds to treat them properly, right? But yeah, so try not to pay attention to those people. You're gonna meet those people and you're gonna learn from experiences, whatever, but do not worry about them. Do not, right? And when you get to those people, you will get to it, but not right now, right? Because then you would have the tools to be able to work that out. But yeah.
Thank you.
Ruby?
Hi. First off, I want to start off to say that I'm a huge fan of your channel. I've been watching since I was a sophomore, and I'm an incoming freshman at Stanford right now. So you mentioned you play volleyball. I'm actually trying out for my club team, and I was wondering how you were able to balance work with traveling and training with the team.
Yeah. Oh my God. Honestly, thank you so much for supporting me. And congratulations on getting into Stanford. That's a huge accomplishment. So in terms of like balancing, especially being like an athlete, is to build a system for yourself, right? Because the last thing you want to do is give that up, unless you truly think it's something you should. It's in college, you need to exercise, you need the endorphins. Like, trust me, like, my skin is literally clear during the season. Like, as stressful as school is, like, sports will save your life. So try not to give it up, right?
Yes.
So now that you have that motivating factor, it's really important for you to set a schedule for yourself and discipline. It's all about discipline, right? It's easier said than done, but you have to discipline yourself to go to sleep at a certain time, wake up at a certain time. And if we're talking like technicalities and logistics, right? I remember when we would travel all the way to like upstate or like New Jersey for games, I would study on the way there and on the way back, right? I would also know my limits, because I remember one day I told my coach, like, I'm sorry, I can't make it to this game because it's all the way over here. I have a test tomorrow, like I need to study, right? But sometimes I have a quiz tomorrow and I do end up going to a game the day before because I know that I studied for it, right? You have to study consistently. You have to be on top of that. And I know that sometimes, like, in the beginning of the year, you're in like that early stage of like, oh my God, like my first year, like, I'll just like, I just got off of senioritis. I'm gonna chill a little, but like, I'm gonna study. Like, you have to set that mindset aside and tell yourself, like, you do not look at what other people are doing. Other people might be partying or like, oh my God, my first time in college, like I'm gonna go a little crazy, right? And that's okay. But if you're trying to do a sport, you just can't afford to be like that. You gotta discipline yourself to be able to study. And also, oh my gosh, you have to keep up with the class, right? Yeah. If you fall behind, if you're not on the slide that your professor is on, you cannot go to that game because you're not gonna pass the quiz, right? For me, the only reason why I was able to pass Orgo and do sports was because I was always one slide ahead of the professor, right? You have to be ahead, right? Because at college, it's literally putting out fires, right? Once you put out one fire, there's another one behind you. Like, they're gonna go at a pace you have never seen before in your life, right? So you have to be ahead of them, right? Read the slides over the summer, oh my God, over the weekend, right? The night of if you have not done the slide that the professor taught today, do it tonight, the same day of. You cannot be behind. If you're behind, do not go to the game. Do not. And you don't want to miss a game, so don't be behind, you know? So like
Yeah.
it's about keeping up with the professor. Keep up with the professor and you'll be fine.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Mhm. Leandra, or did I answer your question?
No, thank you.
Oh, hi.
Sorry. Hi, Fatima. I really love your presentation. I just wanted to say that. I have a question about your feelings on racial disparity in the medical field, because I know that's a very huge part of why a lot of new gen pre-meds are going into medicine to help bridge that gap. So how do you feel about that? And if you ever were in an instance where this was happening, would you feel like that should not be happening, or like what would you do?
So racial disparities do exist in medicine at an incredibly high rate, I guess, for lack of a better word, but it does exist. And I know that there's like, it's just, there's a lot of that is why there's a lot of medical mistrust within the Black community, right? Because the healthcare system was just not made for people of color, right? And so it's important to be able to understand that, right? And to know that it exists instead of denying it. I think that's an important part of being a doctor and wanting to be a doctor. And I'm glad that there are a lot of people that are out there that are saying, okay, like I want to bridge the disparity, right? And it's very important. But I do believe that to do that, it's important to do a little bit more research, not only about the disparity, but also how you can tackle it as a doctor, right? Because there are many different ways of tackling it as a doctor. You can do research you can do community health research that focuses on like racial groups and like how the system is affecting them, or you can literally just be a clinician, be a practicing clinician, be a primary care physician and interact with patients and get them the help that they need, right? If they're a person of color. And so it exists, right? And it's something that Sophie Davis, my school, teaches us a lot about, which is also why I chose to go there, because it is a priority to them. And I really admire that. They want people to be more aware of these issues. And I think that it's important to keep learning about it and to learn about your role as a physician in tackling those issues and being aware of those issues, right? Because everyone plays a different role. Everyone plays, depending on their identity and their relationship to medicine or their relationship to the issue at hand. Everyone plays a certain role. So understand your role, understand maybe you have biases, right? Understand your bias, understand your identity, and move forward with that, right? You have to understand where you are in the system in order to be able to take the next steps to tackle it, right? Because if maybe you have I'll end it there, but yeah, I hope I answered your question. But it does exist. It's important to be able to be aware of that. And if you are looking into medicine because of that, I'm very happy, because we need more doctors who are more aware.
Thank you.
Just before we move on to the next question, I know there's some questions in the chat, but we do want to be respectful of your time, Fatima. So let us know if you want to take some questions from the chat, or we could get our participants to email you with their questions, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, so if you have a question and you put in the chat, please email me, right? Please email me, because there are a lot, but if you email me, I will get to your emails. I will. But yeah, and I'm just going to be taking questions from the Zoom, but if you have questions on the chat and you don't want to like unmute, then feel free to email me. I'm totally okay with that. Tulasi, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
An Indian name, so yeah. But hi, I wanted to start off and say thank you so much for this presentation and answering our questions. It's really helpful. And also I wanted to say that I've been applying to college and I'm heading into my senior year of high school. So I just wanted to ask, like, how's the application process with a BSMU program? I'm sure it's like different, much different. Like you talked about how it, has like essays and stuff like that. But is it like through like a specific website or on Common App? And like, what do BSMU programs really look for when you're applying?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. I actually had no idea that we had high schoolers in here, but if you are in high school, please look into dual degree programs because people don't talk about them enough. But yeah, thanks for your question. So there are a lot of BSMD and like BAMD and like a lot of dual degree programs. And I think that people should start looking into those and spending time to apply to them. They may be a little bit more competitive, but it's worthwhile. But in terms of the application process, Sophie Davis does have a different portal. A lot of dual degree programs have a whole different portal, right? They have a whole different set of requirements, a whole different set of interviews. And what they really look for is the fact that you will be invested, right? They do not want someone who will be 3 years in and be like, all right, like I can't do this anymore. Like I gotta go, right? And that's what they want to avoid. It's okay if that happens because sometimes people change their minds, right? But if you want to look like an impressive applicant in dual degree programs, let them know like, hey, like I'm gonna stick with it, right? I'm very dedicated, like I will stick to it. For Sophie Davis, they asked me questions like, what would you be if you did not get into Sophie Davis and you couldn't be, or what would you do if you did not get into Sophie Davis, right? They want to know like, what would you do if you weren't to get into the dual degree program, right? And so they want to see how dedicated you are. And they also want to make sure they want a well-rounded people. Every college wants a well-rounded person, right? They want to see someone who is invested in different things, but not someone who's hopping around like they do like 5 clubs and they're like president of all 5 clubs, right? That's a little bit hard to believe. But they want people who are invested in specific things and have spent so much time on that thing, but are also good students and invested in another thing, right? So I guess I'll take my application as an example. I did one club, just one club. It was not a pre-med club. It was not a science club. It was literally just a Muslim student association club. And that was because I valued identity, right? I wanted to bring Muslims together, right? And I love being Muslim. I love Islam, and I really wanted to reinforce that in high school. And even though I didn't join Science Olympiad, even though I loved science, like it's okay because there is another part of me that I value and that I respect and that I want to invest my time into growing into the community, right? And so people search for that, right? They want to see you spend a lot of time in one thing, but also like balance like other things as well. But yeah, and there's just so much like college application things I could talk about, but definitely like email me and I'll answer more of your questions because there are a lot of things that go into it, like interviews and everything. When I did my Harvard interview, I interviewed with the interviewer for like an hour and we talked about things from the Nike hijab to like the COVID vaccine, to like it was so like it wasn't all academics, because that they don't want you to just be all academics, right? They want to see a well-rounded person. But yeah, they want to see like people also with like open minds and like willing to explore and like just exploration, right? Like stepping out of the comfort zone, exploration, being well-rounded, seeing the world from not from like they don't want tunnel vision, right? They want you to understand the world a little bit better. But definitely email me and I have more information because I feel like that's like a whole other presentation, honestly. Ruby?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, last question. Have you found a really good study method for you with pre-med classes? And do you prefer iPad or handwritten note-taking?
Mm-hmm. So I started off with handwriting notes in high school and it worked so well for me. And then I moved on to iPad in college. And I'm not a fan of the iPad. When I finished my pre-med prerequisites in my second year and I started taking medical school classes, I literally switched to handwritten notes. I switched to handwritten notes. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm a visual learner. Like I need to feel my hand, like draw it on the paper, and I want to color and stuff like that. Like I switched to handwritten notes. It's personal preference, right? But personally, as someone who's more creative and like as someone who values like the arts more and stuff like that, like for me, it's handwritten notes was so much better for me. But it's personal preference, right? If you're more like techie and like I don't know, like if you just like rigid, like like that kind of thing, like if you don't mind, like not, yeah, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but like if you like the iPad, you like it, right? But I prefer handwritten notes. And as for study methods, like watching videos and learning from other resources, because in college it's all about teaching yourself. I'm not gonna lie, in every university you end up teaching yourself anyways. So it's using resources and knowing how to self-learn. Oh my God, self-learning is so important. Once you know how to teach yourself things, like other things get so much easier. It's like a walk in the park, right? But yeah, try to train your brain to learn things yourself. It'll
thank
really
you
help.
so
Yeah.
much.
Awesome. Okay, so I think that's all the time we have for live questions today, but we're definitely going to link your email and your YouTube channel and your social media so that people can catch up with you later if they didn't get a chance, because I know you had a lot of questions in the chat.
Okay, thank you so much. Honestly, I know that I'm 19 and I'm probably close in age with a lot of the audience, right? But definitely like feel free to like email me and everything, because I have a lot to offer and I would like to take in some mentees, right? But thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And yes, we will definitely encourage people to reach out to you via email, and I'm sure people will.
But yeah, ask me anything, right? I'm not like I'm still young, right? And we go through similar experiences, right? But yeah.
Perfect.
We
Thank you
learn from each other. Yeah.
We really appreciate you coming to speak to us. It was a whole lot of great advice.
Thank you. I was a little nervous. So like if I said something that was like weird, like please excuse that.
Not at all, not at all. You're good. You're good. You did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Of course, of course.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Okay, so we will be linking her email and her socials for all of you that want to catch up with her or send her an email. They'll definitely be there for you if you wanna reach out to her that way. I just launched our first shadowing attendance poll, so please answer the questions now if you can. And then I'll give everyone a second, and then we're gonna do our group picture after the poll. So if you want to turn your cameras on, you can. It's not required, but it's just if you're comfortable with it, we would love to see all of your lovely faces for a quick picture. Then you can turn your cameras off like right after we do the pictures. You don't have to keep them on the whole session. But yes, if you would be able to, that would be great. I'm already seeing lots of people turning their cameras on. Can anyone see the poll? Because I'm not seeing people respond to it. So let me know if you can't see it.
It popped up for me, so.
Oh, it popped up for you? Okay, great. All right. I'll give everyone another minute or so. So lovely seeing all of your faces. I think this is the most of you I've ever seen on Zoom, which is really nice. I'll give everyone a couple of seconds as you're finishing up the poll. If you want to like fix your hair or anything, that's fine. Yeah, if you don't see the poll, just message me on Slack. You can do it after we do the group picture to make sure you get in. I'll give it like another 30 seconds and then I'll take a couple in case anyone blinks. And also because not all of you fit onto one screen for me, so I want to make sure I can get everyone. Everyone looks lovely. Okay, I'm still seeing people turning their cameras on, so I'm gonna give it another minute. Yeah, if you can't see the poll, just message me on Slack after and then we'll excuse you from it. Okay. I don't think I see too many new people turning their cameras on. Does anyone need us to wait for them? You can type in the chat. If not, we'll take a picture, but if so, I'll give it like another maybe 10, 15 seconds. Okay. We will wait for you. And it's totally okay if you can't open your camera. This is definitely not required. It's just for fun, for a little program memento. Okay. Is everyone good now? I'm seeing more cameras turning. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna take a couple and then pause so I can move to my next screen so I can take pictures of everyone else that doesn't fit on my first screen. So just bear with me. Okay, I'll give everyone a 3, 2, 1 countdown and then we'll go ahead. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Okay, little break. All right, I'm taking pictures of the people on my second screen. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, you're all set. Feel free to turn off your cameras if you'd like to, or keep them on if you'd like, whatever you're most comfortable with. But yes, we will send all of these out to you at the end of the program, which I guess is after today. But we like taking a little group picture at the end of all of our programs and camps because it's a nice way to commemorate the experience. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now. For some reason, it's showing me that no one has responded, but some of you said you could see it, so I'm hoping it's saved. If it didn't, that's okay.
The responses are there. I think it might just, I see them on my end, so.
Okay, perfect. That's great. As long as you can see them, we're good. All right, so our workshop today is going to be a little bit shorter because it's mostly a wrap up because today is our very last session of our summer program, which is exciting and also a little bittersweet because you've been with us for the past couple of weeks. So just some quick upcoming deadlines. So in order to be eligible for a certificate, you have to attend the 5 out of 6 sessions live. And then I'm going to send the homework in the chat now. It's not due until next Friday because there are a lot of other forms that we have due. And some of the questions are a little bit longer and require like a minimum word count. And we want to make sure that you have time to fill it out. So we're giving everyone a week to fill it out. I think that's hopefully more than enough time. Yes, we're also so sad the program is ending too. It feels like it really just flew by, but I've sent the homework format now. You don't have to complete it now. We'll send it out on Slack later too, but this is just if you want access to it a little bit earlier. So that's due next Friday. Our research symposium registration form has also been released, but we'll share it with you officially later. It's due August 3rd. So that's where you say, hey, I'm interested in doing a research symposium. You want to do it with people, you list who the people are, and then if you're interested in a mentor, you list that you want to mentor. And then our guest speaker thank you forms are due next Friday. We're going to release a note-taking form that's due next Friday. And then we have a couple of different like leadership, executive internship, department applications that are due August 10th. So that's really exciting. And I'll go ahead and send all of those links in the chat now too. It's a pretty big message. Don't worry if you miss it because I'll send out pretty much the exact same thing on Slack right after the session is done. Okay. 1 second. Okay, it's kind of a big message, but it has a bunch of important links. Does someone have their hand up for a question?
I was just about to ask you where I can find all these links and all these things. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. And we'll send it out on Slack too in case someone.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. So what's next here? So now that our summer program is done, what's next? We're a little bit late, but happy 3rd birthday to MedSTEM Powered. So I created MedSTEM Powered as the Future MDs in STEM summer program in July of 2020. And it's really crazy that it's been 3 years since we started our summer program. This is our 4th summer program. When I first started the summer programs, I didn't anticipate that we would get this many people interested or involved, or that we would be continuing it for 4 years, but it's been really exciting. And we're just very grateful that we have this platform to teach you all about medicine and healthcare and science. So these are some of the things we've done over the past 3 years. It's a long list. I won't go through all of it, but we've hosted our summer programs and our winter camps. We have hosted our research symposiums, our case study competitions. We've awarded lots of certificates of completion with excellence. We've given out lots of shadowing hours for all the programs that we have hosted, and just a whole bunch more. So there are a couple of different teams here that you can also apply to. They're included on the forms that we just sent out. So research and content. Our mentorship program is currently being reworked. We're kind of switching to more of a one-on-one mentorship style. So one mentor to one mentee, and we'll be setting that up soon. We also have events and fundraising, social media, graphic design for all the lovely posts you see on our Instagram, website and tech. We're also revamping our website, communications, and a couple of other things. So what can you do if you want to get involved here? We really love when students are interested in getting involved with MedSTEM Powered and helping us continue to make programs and resources like this possible and free for people across the globe. So you can get involved with things like research, so you can contact professors, we host webinars sometimes throughout the school year, we create lesson plans, and we work with like undergraduate and high school curriculum. We create lesson plans, we do workshops. All the lovely workshops you saw this year were created by all of our team members. We have a mentorship program, which again, we'll be releasing a little bit later. And we have some other departments that are tailored to like outreaching to guest speakers, giveaways, organizing this program, social media, like we mentioned earlier, and etc. These are some of the open applications we have right now. So we have all of the ones that are listed here. We have co-directors for a bunch of our departments open, and we would love it if you wanted to apply. Of course, it's not required. But if you're looking to get more involved, then this is a great way for you to do that. And these are some of our other open applications that we have right now. We have our executive internship. We have some department members, mentorship, partnership requests, and some speaker events. Partnership requests and speaker events are usually open year round, but the other ones do have a deadline where we like stop accepting applications, go through those ones, and then open it up again to kind of implement more of a rolling basis, but like at certain points in the year, we go through applications. So our mentorship program, in the previous years, what we did is we had mentors for all the subjects that you see listed here. So comp sci, anatomy, physiology, physics, calc, pre-calc, pre-med, algebra, biochem, college apps, stats, and more to come. And we would like, and we assume that people would still be interested in having a mentor that is specialized maybe in one of these subjects or can provide advice or guidance in one or more of these topics. So we're not essentially taking that away from the mentorship program, but we want to give you that personalized experience of having your own mentor that's there to guide you in this process, like our guest speaker, our lovely guest speaker today was mentioning. So we're changing it a little bit, but not changing it fundamentally. So if you want to get involved, we also offer an initiative here where if you want to start your own idea or your own project or your own initiative, but you need some help, we're happy to help you out. If you want to start a new initiative with us at MedSTEM Powered, you can run that initiative and we'll help you here. That's another great way for you to get involved and take on some leadership, kind of start your own idea. The summer program started as an idea that I had at my kitchen table in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. So it is absolutely possible for you to make your ideas come true. And we really want to make that happen for you if you're interested in that. So if you want to do that, you're in luck, you'll be able to do so. We are always happy to help people out. And when we send out your program certificates, we'll be following up with all of you for like these next steps and how you can get involved here. And I also sent out a bunch of the forms. I'll pause quickly if people have questions. How can you apply to be a mentor? So we're actually we pause our applications for right now just because we're restructuring. But once the applications are back out, we will definitely email you and post on our Instagram too. You can apply to be a mentee, absolutely. We need both mentors and mentees to make our mentorship program possible. And then how can you apply to the team? I sent out a bunch of forms earlier, so if you can fill those out, that would be great. And then we'll also be sending more forms out on Slack later in case you missed it. Oh, someone asked a great question. Are you looking for any past experience for the positions? Honestly, no, we don't. And some of the forms that we've released, we explicitly mention what the most important questions are. And the most important questions are not your past experiences or how many clubs you've been a president for, or how many awards you have. That's not really as important to us, but what ideas do you have that you want to implement here? Have you taken a look at what we've done here and said, hey, they're not doing this right now. I think we should do this. And I think that this is how we should do it. Those are the most important questions that we ask. We want to see that you have a drive for really making things better and more efficient here at M.D.s Empowered. Those are the most important questions, and they're not really reliant on experience. So we really open it up to anybody, regardless of what your experience is, to apply, because we just want to know that you're interested in doing work here. All right, so program certificates. So as long as you attend 5 out of the 6 sessions live, or some of you have received accommodations from us, and you fill out the homework form by next Friday, you'll automatically get a certificate. We usually send out a spreadsheet with all of your names and then color-coded blocks in green, yellow, or red, letting you know if you're eligible. And then we give you a couple of days to look that over, and you can message us and be like, hey, I attended all the sessions, but my block is red, what happened? And then, we'll discuss, and then usually we find that maybe you joined Zoom with a different name, or your network got disconnected, or you were excused from a poll, but we forgot to include it on the spreadsheet. So we change those, and then we send out our certificates. So there is a part of the process where we consult you and make sure we have all the right information, but your certificates, they have your shadowing hours, they have our email for contact purposes, and they just certify that you've done the program. If you did an interactive homework assignment, and if you were one of our top debaters, you'll be getting a separate award for that as well. And we also want to make sure that you know how to use this experience to kind of get your foot in the door, just make the most out of it. So we have some tips for including this on your LinkedIn. So if you don't know what LinkedIn is, I like to call it a business Instagram. It's essentially a platform for networking, posting about work experiences, honors, awards. You can network with coworkers, you can find opportunities, and you're always more than welcome to connect with us on LinkedIn too. Some of us have our LinkedIns in our Slack profiles, so you can always connect with us. Totally fine if we're your first connection. We'd love to be that first little step in the door if that works for you, but you can always connect with us on LinkedIn. So how do you add this experience to your LinkedIn? So you click on your own personal profile, and once you have it set up, this will make a little bit more sense. You can add it under the experiences section. We filled out a sample section for you. Change it to 2023. And then we have written up a description for you as well. If you would like to copy and paste this, of course, you can write your own as well, but this is just kind of a starter. So it mentions that you were selected to do this program. You learned from all these healthcare and science and STEM professionals. You participated in all these workshops. You were in a program cohort of how many students, and you received this many shadowing hours, and you got a certificate. So it's a really great way to kind of just add this experience to, add it to a business platform. And if you want these slides, don't worry, we're going to be sending them out on Slack afterwards. It'll also be in the Google Drive. I think for international participants that might be here joining for the national session, the slides are already there in our Google Drive. So don't worry, everything will be made available to you. Anyone else have any questions? What should I put under the employment type section? The employment type that we found that works best for the summer program is an internship. So if you want to put that, you can. It's okay if you don't want to, but you can. And we would also encourage you to remain truthful on LinkedIn. So if you add us and you tag M.D.s Empowered, or you put us down as the company, we can see what you post. And sometimes people aren't very honest, and they say that they have done all these things with M.D.s Empowered that they haven't done. And we would not recommend doing that on a professional business platform. So please make sure that what you're writing down is what you've actually done. So just a piece of advice from some things that we've seen over the past couple of years. It doesn't really happen that often, but it has happened a few times. Also, when you get your certificates of completion, you can upload a PDF on LinkedIn too, so other people can see it and know that you've done this. You can add the program certificate. If you submit notes or if you provide translation for us, for our international friends, you can add that under volunteer experience. Fill out the guest speaker thank you form, you can also add that under volunteer experience. You can also add some of these skills here. So you can add STEM, collaboration, leadership, etc. I'll pause for a couple of questions. The note-taking form I sent out earlier, so feel free to access that in the Zoom chat, or I'll send it on Slack too. Would the shadowing hours qualify for experience hours? It depends on what you are either applying for or listing it for. Some people accept virtual shadowing, some organizations don't. Certificates should be sent out a couple of weeks after our homework deadline, which is next Friday, because we have to process everything. And then we send out a spreadsheet so that you can check it over, and then we make the certificates to send out. So it takes a little bit of time, but it should be hopefully before you go back to school, if you go back to school end of August. If your block is yellow, that means that you've attended most or some of the sessions and you've done the homework, but not all of them. So maybe we've missed that you attended something, or you have an accommodation that we haven't put in yet. So that's why it's yellow, because you're in the middle of being eligible or not, but only the people with green blocks get certificates. You have to have met all the requirements or have talked with us or communicated with us if you needed any other accommodations earlier. You can also add honors and awards. So if you get an award for a research symposium, if you were like a top debater, if you did the interactive homework assignment and you got like a shout out, you can add that in your honor and award section. And you can always tag our organization, that's empowered, we're set up. We have our little classic blue logo. Okay, I'm pausing for questions. Oh yeah, so people are asking, what do you mean by blocks? So essentially what we do is we share a spreadsheet and we have color-coded blocks on the spreadsheet. Green means you're good for your certificate. Yellow means we're missing a few things, but you have some things. Red means you're not eligible. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense. And yes, you do have to do the homework for the certificate. So the Google form that I shared earlier, we're only calculating the eligibility for people that submit the homework assignment. We literally take all of the names for the people that submit the homework assignment, and that's who we check your attendance for. Okay, so moving on, you can post about this on your LinkedIn. So if you would like to share your certificate, this is a sample post from someone that shared our program on their LinkedIn a couple of years ago. They said, just wanted to thank the people that created the program, had a great time. Here's my certificate. You can do that. Of course, you don't have to, but it's another great way to showcase your experience. I'll pause for a couple more questions in the chat. Is the spreadsheet on the itinerary? We haven't made the spreadsheet yet because we don't have the homework responses from you yet. So we'll send that out later. You can submit your responses for the homework now. Yeah, I mean, the program is pretty much done. So that will be, so you can do that. And then someone asked, how many shadowing hours will you get? So we have 6 sessions. We had an hour of shadowing each, so 6 hours. And then how do you add this to your college apps or a job or a resume that you might want to showcase this experience on? So you can, on your college apps, you can add it under the extracurriculars. You can add the awards under the awards category. Some common and coalition applications let you upload your certificate to. You can also use this experience in a more real life manner. You can talk about it if you've gotten an interview. If you have virtual shadowing, sometimes it increases your chances of receiving in-person shadowing. So we really recommend talking and hyping this experience up. Obviously not untruthfully, but using it to get your foot in the door. If you need us to write you a letter, between the months of September and November, we are usually flooded with letter of recommendation requests. So we do ask that you potentially try to ask us outside of those times. But if you need one, we're happy to write one for you or sign off on volunteer hours. You just email us at info@medstempowered.org, and then we'll be happy to help you out. If we haven't responded within a couple of weeks, you can always send us a follow-up because sometimes things don't go through properly. Okay. So from us to you, thank you so much for joining us this summer. We really appreciate it. These are some of our lovely core exec team members, and we're making little hand hearts because we love all of you. We really appreciate all of you being here with us this summer. This program would absolutely not have been possible without all of you here. And we really appreciate you spending your summer here with us. We hope that you have learned something, have felt empowered to tackle these kind of challenging fields, have resonated with some of our guest speakers, have hopefully met some friends and made some new connections. But we really, really appreciate you being here with us. We hope it was enjoyable. We hope it was informational. We hope it was just overall a nice way that you felt you spent a couple of weeks in your summer. But we're just so happy that you joined us. I would also like to give a little special shout out. So this is my grandma. My grandma is absolutely my #1 biggest fan. She watches all of the sessions on YouTube for the international program, the national program. She's watched all of the programs that we have available since like 2021. She always talks to me about like, oh, I love your hair that session. I thought it looked so nice. I love that. I love that guest speaker. You did a great job that day, Davina. So I wanted to give a little special shout out to my grandma. She might be watching this later, but thank you so much for being my #1 fan. She always talks to me about Medicine Powered when I see her. So I wanted to include her here because she's in one of my little special shout outs. And yes, just some final thank yous. So thank you so much for being here. We are really impressed with all of the dedication and admiration and just resilience that you've all shown towards the program and attending it, and asking our guest speakers really wonderful questions, asking us wonderful questions, staying so engaged and interactive. Again, this program really would not have been possible without all of you, and we're so proud of you for doing the program, sticking with it, and hopefully feeling like you've really learned something and that it was a good and a worthwhile experience. So with that, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I'll release our very last attendance poll, the very last attendance poll you'll ever have to do for our summer program this year. It's so crazy to me that the summer program is already done because it feels like I've just gotten to know all of you. But we really appreciate you being here with us this summer. And we really appreciate that you took the time to actually do the program and do it in a way that was really interactive and engaging. I really appreciated getting to know lots of you. I have messaged almost all of you on Slack, I would imagine. And it's just been really, really fun and really enjoyable. And I hope that you feel the same way. All right, so I'm releasing the last attendance poll you'll have to do. And then after you answer the poll, you can feel free to head out. But if you would like to, stick around, ask us some questions, then feel free to do that. So give me one sec. Hopefully this works. Okay, I don't think it's working for me, so I'm just going to ask it in the chat. Yeah, my polls aren't working, so I just asked a question in the chat, so feel free to respond to that, and that is your poll for the day. I'm sure my grandma will appreciate all the comments for all of you saying that she's super cute and God bless her. I'm sure she'll see this later and be super happy. Okay, so if you have responded in the chat, our poll for today, then that's all that we really need from you for right now. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your summer if we don't see you again. I know a lot of you are interested in the research symposium, so I'm sure we'll see you back. But if not, thank you so much for joining us. We really hope you had a nice experience. Have a wonderful rest of your summer. Have a great weekend. Get lots of rest.